All right, so here we have section P4, lines in the plane. So the equation of slope here, m is equal to the change in y over the change in x, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If the line is vertical, then the two x values are equal and you have an undefined slope. So example 1 here asks you to find the slope of the line that passes through those points. So m is equal to, so it's y2 minus y1 over x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is negative 1. So that's negative 4 over, so 4 minus negative 1 is 5, and there's your answer. So down here, y2 is 4, y1 is 3, or sorry, is 1. It's going to come out to be 3, 4 minus 1. And on the bottom, you have 3 minus 1. So that is 3 over 2, and there you go. Now, you could convert those to decimals. I would recommend you not do that, because then it's going to make graphing a little bit trickier. Okay, so here we have the point slope form equation. So it looks like this. Sometimes you'll see it also written like this, which is the one that I tend to use more often, because if you rearrange it before you start, it's already one step closer to going into slope-intercept form. So example 2 here, use the point slope form to find an equation of the line that passes through the point negative 3, negative 4, and has a slope of 2. So in your equation, m is the slope, so it's going to be 2. x1 and y1 are the values from your point. So it's going to be x, now it's going to be minus negative 3, so that's going to be a plus 3, and then plus y1, so plus negative 4. Now that's technically you're done, because it says use to find an equation. It doesn't say how it has to be written. If you distribute the two and do like terms, you'll end up in point or slope-intercept form, mx plus b, which is the very next thing. All right, so slope-intercept form looks like this. M is the slope. The value for b is where the line will cross the y-axis. It is the y-intercept. All right, so using slope-intercept form, write the equation line with slope 3 that passes through the point, negative 1, 6. So I'm going to actually start with the point slope equation because I know the slope in a point. So y is equal to, my slope is 3, so 3x plus 1, because I'm subtracting a negative 1, plus 6. So since I want slope-intercept, I do need to do my distributing. That's 3x plus 3 plus 6. So y is equal to 3x plus 9. And there's your slope-intercept form. Down here, you have the general form, which is ax plus by equals c, where a and b both not 0. So the rest of these are just reminders of various things. So there's your slope-intercept, your point slope. Vertical lines are always x equals a number, and horizontal lines are always y equals a number. Okay, so doing some graphing. This is an equation. This is actually standard form, where the c is on the right, as opposed to general form, where the c is on the left. If b is 0, you have a vertical line, because there is no y, just the x. And if a is 0, the line is horizontal. Okay, so example, draw the graph of 2x plus 3y equals 6. So I particularly, when I graph, I like to work in slope-intercept form, because it is just easier for me. So to do that, I need to get the y by itself. So I need to move the 2x to the right. And then I need to divide everything by 3. So negative 2/3 x plus 2. So I'm going to draw my axes in here. Just give me a moment. There, mostly straight. Okay, so if you want slope-intercept form, this value right here is the y-intercept. So where it crosses, there we go, the y-axis. So I'm going to have a point here at positive 2. This value is the slope, so negative 2/3. So you can think about this one of two ways. You get one negative sign to use. That can either move your point down or left, but not both. So for negative 2/3, I'm going to go down 2, that's my negative 2, and then over 1, 2, 3. And there's my second point. Connect the dots. The other way to approach this would be a t-table. Choose the value for, so it would look like, in case you don't remember what t-table is, looks like this. So choose some values for x, and then find the value of y that corresponds to them. So for example, when x is 0, I plug 0 in for x, which gives me just 3y equals 6, so y has to be 2. And if you notice, that's actually already that point right there. And then you repeat the process for 1 and for 2. And just, you can get a series of points. You would only technically need to do 2 points, because you just need to draw a line. All right, parallel and perpendicular lines. Two non-vertical lines are parallel if and only if their slopes are equal. So the reason that it says non-vertical there is that vertical lines technically do not have a slope, so they cannot be equal. And two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if and only if their slopes m1 and m2 are opposite reciprocals. That is, if and only if m1 is equal to -1 over m2. So what that would mean would be, if you talk about numbers, if m1 is equal to 2/3, m2 would be negative, you change the sign, and flip the fraction. That's the reciprocal part. So you always, now whole numbers also, you can do the same thing. So the slope is -3 for m1. m2 would be, you change the sign, so it's going to be positive, and when you flip a whole number, it becomes 1 over that number, so 1/3. Now these are for perpendicular lines, not for parallel. For parallel, they're the same. All right, example 5. Find an equation of the line through that point that is parallel to that equation. So I need to figure out what the slope of this line is. The easiest way to do that is to put it in slope-intercept form. So I move the 3x across, and I'm going to divide everything by -2. It's going to look like that, because that number right there is the slope of my line. So since I'm writing parallel, my new slope is going to be the exact same thing. And now I can go to point slope. So there's my slope, and x minus 1 minus 2. Now since it says equation of a line and doesn't tell you what form it is, you can stop there. If you distribute and do like terms, you'll end up in point slope or slope-intercept form. All right, so for example 6, similar thing, except I'm going to do perpendicular, but the first step is still the same. I need to figure out the slope of the line I am given. So -4x plus 3. So this right here, that is m1, my given slope. So for my m2, I need to do the opposite, so change the sign, negative becomes positive, and take the reciprocal, 1/4. And then the problem solves just like this one did up here. So y equals 1/4 x minus 2 minus 3. Distribute will end up give you slope-intercept form. All right. So here we have example 7. Camelot Apartments purchased a $50,000 building. For tax purposes, its value depreciates $2,000 per year over a 25-year period. Write a linear equation given the value of y building in terms of the years x. So y equals mx plus b is my form. So m is the slope, it's how the value changes. So since it is depreciating, that means it's going down $2,000 a year. And b is the starting value, so 50,000. So it says in how many years will the value of the building be that amount? So that's my y value. So 24,500 is equal to -2,000x plus 50,000. And I need to solve that equation. So my first step is to just subtract the 50,000 from both sides. So 245 minus 50,000 is -25,500. And then divide everything by -2,000. So 12.75 years until it's worth that amount. All right, so 8, write a linear equation for America's income in trillions of dollars in terms of the year x using these points. So the first thing I need to do is figure out the slope. So it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the bottom is going to be 5. The top, 15.4 minus 12.5 is 2.9. Now, since I'm not going to have to graph this, actually I'm going to solve this down to a decimal just to make it easier for my math later. So 0.58 if you divide 2.9. So y is equal to mx minus x1 plus y1. So that's the answer for the first part. Use the equation to estimate America's income in 2012. So that's giving me a value for x. So y equals 0.58, whoops, not x, 2012 minus 2010 plus 12.5. So work that out first. 0.58 times 2 plus 12.5. So 0.58 times 2 is 1.16 plus 12.5. Then add the 12.5. Gives you y is equal to 13.66 trillions of dollars. And then repeat the process for last one in the year 2020. So y equals 0.58. I know my value for x. Then my equation has this information. So y equals 0.58. That's going to be 8. So 0.58 times 8 is 4.64 plus 12.5, and then do the addition. 17.14. So in 2020, Americans' income will be $17.4 trillion. Put my units on here. I believe that is the end of the section.